got Cory Zadjel on. If you ever wanted to find out what class action suits might be applicable to you, or if you want to file a class action suit, or if you're confused about what class action suits you might be entitled to, Cory has suethem.com. Great URL, Cory, where to help you with your needs. Nice to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
And so what's the deal? Like, I remember reading once about McDonald's had a class action suit against them about their French fries. There was I think vegans and vegetarians sued as a class because French fries had potential for, I guess, meat oil. I don't know these things, and so they were going to get like a free French fries or something as the result of the case. But there's thousands of class action lawsuits out there, and who knows what might apply to me, or I don't know. Tell me what suethem.com does.
Well, sure. Student.com is a first of its kind technology driven legal platform that provides consumers access to justice. And in that, what I mean is we have our cases that we're already doing, our class actions that are in court, and then we provide everyone in the country who might eventually be a class member or who we are trying to represent. We give them the opportunity to come and sign up for the case right from the beginning and allow them to pursue their own case outside of the class action.
So, okay, let's say in this McDonald's case, I was like, I don't want just a free thing of French fries. I want to sue them for $1 million. I'm a religious vegan. I've been eating these meat products. Apparently, I'm gonna sue them. How would that? First off, discover. So your site provides discovery. Like they search for something, or you ask them questions. What happens?
That's right. Well, when you come to the site, we have all of our cases listed, and it only launched 2 months ago, but there's 7 cases that are up there.
Why don't you have every class action lawsuit on there, like all million of them?
That would be the goal
Mhm.
at some point in the future,
Because
because
then it
this
could be
is
like a database, like, and then you have like some kind of Q&A, like, have you done this in the past 7 years? Have you done this? And then it tells me all the class action lawsuits that I potentially am a part of the class.
that's right. And one day that is the goal, to one day provide to be the central hub for people who want to discover their claims and get involved early. They will come to suethem.com and they will be able to do that. But it's very capital intensive. So we had to start with cases that we believe are of significant value to people, that people would be interested in, that would apply to the masses. But to answer your question about the McDonald's case, first of all, I've never sued McDonald's, and I do like eating McDonald's every once in a while.
So,
But
yeah, most popular restaurant in the world.
that's right. But I do agree with a vegan who eats French fries, who that was dipped in oil that would make it not vegan, and McDonald's is representing it as vegan. Well, McDonald's
But
should.
we're just using McDonald's in quotes. So it could be any
That's right.
fast food chain. We're not talking about
Fast.
McDonald's
That's
specifically.
correct. Fast
Just to
food
take care
company.
of, we don't want to be sued by McDonald's.
I don't want to be sued at all.
So okay, so this might be one of the cases listed on your site. Somebody go and you, either through search engine optimization or because you're advertising it, people might come to the site and say, "Oh yeah, this class applies to me." Now what do they do?
So it's really simple. It's a three-step process. They find the cases that apply to them. They click on the case. They read about the case. We provide them a blurb about what the case is about. They provide very basic personal information. And by personal information, I mean information that allows us to interact with them as their attorneys, their home address, their email address, and their best phone number. And then
And then you
they
steal their identity. No, I'm just
that
kidding.
that is a concern that a lot of people have, because a lot of the cases that we do are privacy related, data breaches,
Right.
or location data, cell phone location data theft. And so people see the website and they think, oh, that's such a good idea, suethem.com. And then they start entering their information and they think, wait a second, are they legit? What are they going to do with my information?
So you
And
got to have testimonials or authority figure. Like you have to have, I don't know, the most, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg say, whenever I'm in a class action lawsuit, I go to suethem.com.
Justice Ginsburg, please. I would love that testimonial. Right. And they come, but that is a question I get a lot. As a new business, they say, well, how do we know that you're legit? How do we know that you're not? What are you going to do with our information?
Well, how do
And
you prove to them?
well, I direct them to a news article that I'm quoted in about the case.
And we should mention you're a class action lawyer yourself, or you were before starting this business. Why didn't you just make billions of dollars like every other class action lawyer I mean, didn't John Edwards make like $300 million from suing tobacco companies? This is the former presidential candidate, John Edwards, who scandalously blah, blah, blah.
He did make a lot of money. He was a trial attorney, he did do class actions, he made a lot of money. Not every class action attorney makes a ton of money, but certainly I don't know any class action attorney that's poor. So, it's not that I wasn't doing fine. I was doing fine.
Who were you suing?
Uh, I shouldn't talk about prior cases that have resolved, but I can talk about the cases that I currently have, which are on the site. I mean, the main case that I have right now is against big wireless, eh, Sprint, Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T.
And what's the case and what's the class?
So what they were doing and what they've acknowledged that they were doing was they were selling the exact location of their users to third parties for profit without permission. And there's a federal law that says you can't do that. So
There was
Congress,
no small print saying we own all those various. If you read the tiny, there was no fine print.
the fine print is that they inserted arbitration clauses and class action waivers in all of their terms and conditions so that when you discover that this thing happened, all you can do is come after them for your individual damages. And big business doesn't care about your individual damages. They care about profits. So I don't know how much money they made selling people's location data, but I know they did it. And they've acknowledged doing it. Congress opened an inquiry, and the FCC has looked into this, and they've sent letters back saying, yes, we were selling people's location data, but we were doing it for the right reasons, or we weren't violating the law. So what we're doing is we're trying to get an answer to the question. And if that results in people recovering money, that'll be great.
So that's one of the classes that are on your site. I can see that and say, hey, they were probably selling my data too. Now, what are my choices?
Right. So you pick the provider that you had, you would fill in the basic information that we talked about, and then you answer a question and you certify that it's true and that you're not a robot. I think every website has that now. And once you do that, you get forwarded to our retainer agreement, our individual retainer agreement between my law firm and you, and then I represent you. My law firm represents you in your claim to seek justice for the sale of your location data.
So is this your way of building, like what was it for many years? What was the most popular search term on Google? It was related to asbestos.
Right, mesothelioma.
Yeah, because, basically all these law firms were advertising mesothelioma, and every law firm would build their class and attach it to the larger class that actually filed the lawsuit. Is this your way of building your class for each of these lawsuits that you're involved in?
It's similar,
Mhm.
uh, in that we are trying to provide each individual person that access to justice. It's different in that we are setting up a process whereby we can represent exponentially more people and help exponentially more people than any mass tort law firm can do. So when you say mesothelioma, and without getting into the weeds of it, at one point in time, to have the Google search term mesothelioma costs like 50 some dollars on any particular day. And so that adds
Per
up over
click.
time per click,
Mhm,
not per registration.
mhm.
So we're doing something a little different. Our cases, and those are very small groups of people. Those are needle in a haystack people. And when you find one, that $50 that the lawyer spent was well worth the investment because those cases were multi-million dollar cases. The cases that I'm doing through SueThem.com are not multi-million dollar cases for each individual. They're rather small claims compared to what you would usually see on an individual claim. But it's giving people the ability to redeem their rights, to provide access to the answer, did this happen to me? And if it did, what is it worth? And give those people the decision on their own. What was it worth? What I read.
If something's a class action, and by the way, so is this phone company one, just as because we're running with this example, is this already deemed a class action lawsuit, or is it still kind of this discovery phase?
Right. Well, we filed 4 class action lawsuits, one against each provider.
Mhm.
In each of those cases, all 4 of the cell phone providers filed motions to compel arbitration, and they've all stated that none of their customers can be in court. None of the customers can consolidate and move together as a group. And the only way to redeem any of their rights is to individually arbitrate these claims. So they have not come forward and said, we did not do this. All they're saying is, you're not entitled to be in court. So, okay, if we can't be in court, the only place we can be is arbitration. And if we can't be consolidated in arbitration, the only way that people are going to redeem their rights is by masses of people filing arbitrations individually for themselves.
So in, let's say, case by case basis, you're helping people kind of find their way through the legal system so they can get potentially a, some money or some damages. And so let's say okay, they take this next step, they sign up, and by signing up, they sign up with you as their lawyer. Uh, and then what happens?
Well, I just want to take a step back because not all litigation is money based,
Mhm.
and not all of my cases are money based. The end result, if we're correct, should result in money. But the issue that we're trying to fix is the imbalance of power and the abuse of power that's being undertaken by a big business.
I agree with that. I agree with
So,
that. And on the one hand, the world's become too litigious. Everyone's suing for everything. You must have. This is why there's those laws against prohibiting class action and these rules. On the other hand, people have the right, if they've been hurt by big business that has infinite pockets, they have the right to figure out a way without infinite pockets to get the damages owed them. And you're saying you're kind of intermediating in the middle. Here are, by the way, some class action lawsuits. Do you fit into these? Now we can figure out a course of action. And uh, uh, so they sign up with you. What happens next?
so they sign up through the website. We provide them a copy of what they signed. So every we want to be as transparent and as equal footing as possible with the consumers because we don't want to be classified as the other guy. The guy that they think may have wronged them. We then interact with each individual person to let them know we're going to be filing this arbitration. We let them look at the filing so they can say whether it's correct or not, and then we begin the arbitration process.
And what's their cost to them so far?
The cost to the people who are signing up, $0. So they're not paying us anything out of pocket, and we are covering, or the business, depending on what their agreement says, is covering the filing fees or the arbitration fees. So the only way anyone is ever going to be required to owe suethem.com or me money is if they lie or misrepresent that they qualify for the claim that we're
Or
bringing for them.
or if they win, if you like it,
Well, yes,
so
but
then
that wouldn't be out of their pocket. That'd be
that's out of
money
it.
provided by the company.
But is that how you make money? Is how do you make money?
Right. Well, we have a contingency fee, and if we win, that we would take a portion of the winnings as our attorney's fees, and we would pass along the rest to the individuals.
Can I brainstorm with you on your business? Because I love the model, okay, but I think there's probably, and you've probably thought of this, so I'm probably preaching to the choir, but what if you had, as I mentioned earlier, what if you had every single class action lawsuit and you kind of had a way of matching people with the various class action lawsuits that they are in that potentially in that class, and then since you're a lawyer, you're allowed to take a finder's fee by introducing people to the law firms involved in that class action lawsuit, and everybody wins. The lawyers win, you win, the customers win because they probably didn't even realize they were part of these 6 different classes that have been filed, and they're owed money. They probably didn't even realize they're already owed money because the lawsuit's already over and they won. Uh, uh, is that a viable model?
Well, two things on that. First, I don't love the idea of a referral fee
Mhm,
for sending someone a case that I did nothing on.
mhm.
And I'm well known in my part of town for referring more cases than anyone could imagine without ever requesting that I be paid for it. Because why do I deserve money for making a phone call?
Okay, so let's riffing on that. You don't take anything for the referral fee, so that makes it easier for the law firm, easier for the customer to kind of just join forces. You don't take any referral fee, but because you're so good at what you do, and there's these thousands of class action lawsuits, and there's probably 5 million people in the U.S. who don't realize they're already um, they already meet the requirements to be in various classes. Uh, you get so much traffic, you're able to sell ads for law firms on your site.
Right. That's a great idea, and that is something that we've considered is putting up other law firms' cases on the website,
Mhm.
and the law firm would be paying advertising to sue
Right,
them.com.
just like they pay
The
millions on Google.
Right. The issue is that we wanna be in control of our brand, and we want people to deal directly with us for right now, and it's a very capital intensive operation. In order to file one arbitration, it's gonna cost around $200.
But if you get 1,000 customers, are you spending $200,000 before you get a dime back?
Correct. And we're not trying to represent 1,000 people, we're trying to represent hundreds of thousands of people. And so we're talking about tens of millions of dollars.
How are you gonna do that?
That's isn't that a multi-million dollar question? Uh,
Have you so far, have you raised money?
have not raised any money. My law firm is a debt-free institution. 10 years now, never borrowed money. Um, this is obviously gonna require borrowing money, and we're in the capital markets. We're not interested in and there's a lot of people that want to invest, and by invest, I mean own a portion of the company, and in order to do that, you have to be a lawyer, because only a lawyer can own part of a law firm, and
Right.
SueThem.com is a law firm, so we don't want other lawyers as decision makers with us.
So 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 I wonder if you can separate the law firm from the business so that non-lawyers can invest. Like again, by being kind of more lawyer neutral. Now, yours is the first law firm signed up and here are your biggest cases, but I wonder if the model can be much more scalable if it's lawyer neutral. What do you think?
Oh, I think it could be, and there are companies out there who are kind of class action hawks who kinda search the news, and I get phone calls from them, "Can you send me a copy of your complaint?" Um, and they'll post about the different class actions that are going on. And so there are kinda central repositories for class actions that are existing. Uh, the problem with some of those websites is that they get very busy, and it's very difficult to navigate and hard to find. The
Yeah,
ki the
because I guess discovery is really hard. Like, if I just show up there and there's thousands of class actions, how would it start figuring out which one I might be applicable for?
Right.
Uh,
We focused on large companies that do business nationwide that have large subscriber or user bases where um, it would be very easy to qualify for the case. If you were a customer of this company on this date, you qualify.
so, how many people right now do you think are in the United States are owed money because of a settled class action lawsuit, but they just have no clue that they're even in this potentially in this class?
I would estimate every adult American.
So right, so that's a market of 300 million people that are owed money, and it seems like intermediating between those people and the money they're owed or some damages that they're owed, whether it's money or not, like, oh, you get a free seat on or a free upgrade on some airline because of this class action lawsuit. It seems like I see what you're doing, and that's valuable too because your law firm will benefit and the customers will benefit, and you're able to fight for justice around these kind of class action lawsuits that are problematic. So I see your business is win win win. Also, it seems like the way to kind of mega scale it is to figure out that leap of really connecting all 300 million Americans with the money they're owed.
I agree with that, and this is how I'd respond. My legal practice, my professional life has never been and never will be solely profit driven.
Mhm.
I think it's one of the main differences between me and most lawyers and me and most business owners. I make money. I live a good life and I'm going to continue to do so. How much money do I need? And should that be the driving force in the decisions that I make? So I think it'd be a great thing about what you're talking about, having the central repository. People can come, they'll discover what money they're owed, and I think they should get that money. Um, but I don't think I should take money from that. Or I don't think I should be the catalyst for that. My goal is to correct injustices where I see them or
Like
where
for
my
instance, this phone company,
this
Injustice.
this phone company and we have some data breach cases as well. And we're very careful about the cases that we file because you don't want to put a $200 million potential liability on a company on a guess. Right? That's not who I want to be. I want there to be a real case with real damages that harmed real people.
So let's look at this phone company case because it's fascinating. So it's not yet. Nobody's actually. No court of law has said to them, "You broke the law." Has someone said that yet?
Not yet.
So, but to you and your law firm and your clients, it's clear they broke the law, and that's where there's a kind of that's where the arbitration happens or the lawsuit happens or whatever. Uh, uh, Almost every American probably is subject to this. If in a class action lawsuit, do I have to if I'm in the class, if I'm one of your clients, do I have to prove that I was damaged, or I just have to prove that they broke the law against me?
So so there's a missing step in what you're discussing. Historically speaking, the class action would be filed. It would be played out through the court, and a finder of fact, the judge, would decide did they break the law or not, and then whoever the representative was would provide the information about how they were damaged. What Sudham is trying to correct is this missing piece, is that today you never get to did they break the law? All you ever get to is there an arbitration clause that keeps people from being in court?
Wait, and if I'm in arbitration with them, which I get I again, I'm speaking naively. I don't know the difference between arbitration and a court of law, but my assumption is because they include this clause, arbitration is better for them than a court because maybe they pick the arbitrator or the arbitrator is someone known to them who wants their business and they make money because the phone company is throwing business to them. Um,
But we're going to find out the answer to that question.
but in general, like, let's say this becomes a class. Let's say the court says, you know what, this is going to be a class action lawsuit. You can't really say that this fine print that everyone signed is not legal. So let's say there's a class action lawsuit. Is privacy data like libel, where in order for me to make a libel case, I have to prove that I was financially damaged by the information that was spread about me. So in this case, privacy information, data that I consider private was spread about me, the individual and every individual in the class. Do I have to prove financial damages to collect? Let's say again, if this was a class action lawsuit, or do I benefit uh, by just proving that they broke the law regarding data of mine?
Well, I think there's two things. First of all, I think you benefit by finding out that they broke the law.
Hmm.
I think that is justice in and of itself. Whether you recover money is secondary to finding out, yes, this happened. Yes, I was affected, and I need to take these steps to fix whatever went wrong.
Right.
Step two, am I entitled to money? So justice could be served potentially by getting a ruling from the court. Justice also could be served by a recovery of money, but only a judge or an arbitrator or a final determiner can decide whether or not you were damaged monetarily.
But in general, with these things, do the clients have to prove? Is it the onus on them to prove what their financial damages were, or is it enough that these phone companies broke the law? They made $500 million in extra profits. Now this 500 million is going to be divided pretty much equally between everybody in the class.
So that's what we think in the cell phone cases. We do believe at a minimum that in those cases the damages have to at least equal the amount of money that the companies earned from contracting with third parties to sell location data. There's no way if they broke the law that they should be able to keep that money. The information that was being sold belonged to the people. So what was sold belongs to the people. Any
And,
money that they brought in absolutely has to come back to the people
and
minimally.
how does that usually get divided? Like, so let's say it affected 50 million people, but only 1,000 people sign up for the class because they're even aware of the lawsuit. How does the money usually, like, the judge says, okay, $500 million goes to the class, and you have 3 years to develop the class, or how does that work?
If we got to the end and a judge ruled that there was $500 million, the class was entitled to $500 million, and in that situation, that would be against one entity because each judgment would be separate.
Although they can consolidate those to all the phone companies, right?
I don't think so.
Like the tobacco companies was consolidated.
Those were.
Mhm.
I think those were brought by states.
Okay.
Um, and as much as I'd love to be able to have the power of a state, I don't. And so, no, I don't think that those cases will be consolidated. But let's say there's $200 million between all 4 cases,
Mhm.
and there's 300 million adult Americans in the class, then that money would have to get split up between the 300 million people.
But what if it's hypothetically 300 million people, but only 2,000 people sign up for the class? What happens? And then is there a time period usually by which you can sign up for the class?
Right, so in this instance, there's 4 years under the federal law for you to be able to bring your claim, and
Once you've won and the class and the judge has awarded the class X number of dollars, there's 4 years from that point.
oh, no, 4 years. If there wasn't a class action and you wanted to bring your claim through arbitration with me, you'd have 4 years to do it. If we won and everyone was entitled to money, we would set it up so that everyone would automatically get a check. So that there wouldn't be a process by which you would have to do that,
But you would have to subpoena the phone company, "Who were your customers on this date?"
right? Well, they know who that is.
Right, but do they have is that another case now, or do you is it because the reason people advertise on the asbestos stuff is because they want people to show up for the class so they can make more so everybody can make more money. You wouldn't have to sort of advertise and say, "Hey, you're entitled to be in this class." Like, how does that work normally? I just don't
Yeah.
I'm just learning.
No, it's class actions are very complicated. So in the general sense, I do a lot of cases where individuals get charged too much interest on loans. In that case, I'll be representing 1 or 2 people, and I'll be in court, and the judge will say, "Yes, you 1 or 2 people can represent the 3,000 people who you say were also charged too much interest." Once the judge says that, the company has to provide the information. There's nothing I need to do. The company will be ordered by the court to identify those people that fit the description of what we say was the wronged people and provide that information to us so that we can provide notice to those people that their rights were affected.
And does the judge say, "Okay, we're gonna set aside for these 3,000 people," or is it figured out individually how much extra interest will you charge and you get that money back plus damages?
Right. So in that case, we would then either have a trial or motions to find out whether the people were actually damaged and what the damages were. And then once that determination was made, there would be a formula figured out of how to split that up. Because in an interest case, you can identify everyone's individual damages easily.
Right.
This person was charged 27%. They only should have been charged 24%. You recalculate their loan on 24%. You know exact to the penny how much money they're out of pocket.
And so you reach out to these 3,000 people. Is there a certain amount of time they have to respond by, or they can respond 50 years later and get their money?
Those people are going to get a check and they don't have to do anything.
Okay, but like in a normal class action suit, that's not like that, right?
That's how my cases work.
Okay. So that's how these cases are on the on your site, suethem.com. You mentioned the phone company. What's another sample case that's on your site right now?
So we also have cases. The case people are most interested right now is DoorDash. You know, DoorDash is a food delivery company. That's kind of the creation of Silicon Valley that was doing something that was really bad. They were found out for it,
What are they doing?
and DoorDash was DoorDash has drivers, and DoorDash has users. DoorDash was paying their drivers a guaranteed certain amount of money for each delivery. DoorDash was telling the users that every penny that they tipped was going to their driver repeatedly on the app, on the website, in the order, on the receipt. But what was actually happening was that DoorDash was subsidizing their cost of labor with the tip. So if DoorDash guaranteed $7 to a driver, to a dasher, for a delivery, and the person tipped $6, DoorDash paid the driver a dollar, and the $6 tip went toward the $7 that DoorDash had already promised the driver.
So the law though is you do not have to pay tipped employees minimum wage, but are you allowed to adjust pay for non-tipped employees like that?
So they're not even employees. The dashers, the drivers for DoorDash are independent
So they're
contractors.
contractors. So is there any
They don't even
law
fall.
about minimum pay?
I don't believe that there's a law that applies to an independent contractor, and that's why they classify them that way. And the drivers have their own issues with DoorDash for that reason. They're trying to say that they're not independent contractors. That's not my case. My case is for the individuals who were told that every penny that they
Ah,
tipped was gonna go to this driver. And it turns out none of it was going to the driver unless they tipped more than the guaranteed minimum, and nobody knew it.
I see. So you're saying they were unfairly persuaded to give over more money,
If
and
the
essentially subsidizing DoorDash and not helping the employees, and that
Yes,
wasn't properly communicated and should have been, and so the damage is all the way around. It's to the driver, it's to the client who felt altruistic about giving this money when in fact it was just a way of manipulating them. So your case says.
this one I feel pretty strongly about. If the user would have tipped $0, the driver would have been paid the same amount of money as if the user had tipped up to the guaranteed minimum.
Would
So
the
there's
driver have known?
Well, that's something that we're gonna have to
Mhm.
find out.
I can't wait to go to your site and figure out which of these 7 cases I'm owed money on and owed justice on. So suethem.com, that's it?
That's right.
And what's the name of your law firm?
My law firm is Z Law LLC, and that's on the internet at zlawmaryland.com. And the whole purpose behind that is I didn't want my name associated with my law firm because then I would be like every other schmo lawyer out there that wants their name with a comma after it and then another name and a comma. So I'm zlawmaryland .com.
Well, I can't wait to check out your site. I am gonna start suing people left and right. So,
We'll
Co
help you do that.
Corey Zyhel, is that how did I say it right?
Zydel, yeah.
Yeah, Z-A-D
ZAJ
Z oh,
DEL.
ZJDEL, and, it's spelled wrong on the sheet here. And, thanks so much. SueThem.com. I'm checking out how can you say how much it cost you to get that URL?
No, I don't wanna say that. I just would recommend to anyone who's starting a business to invest in a good URL. It pays off quick.
Yeah, are you finding traffic? Do you get organic traffic?
I sure do.
How when did you start, the SueThem.com?
We launched July 12th.
So I told oh, so recently, and have you had traffic and clients interested?
We already have thousands of signups in the 3 months that we've been operating,
Wow.
and, I can't distinguish between paid and unpaid signups, but I can distinguish between paid and unpaid traffic, and I would say it's at about 50%.
Meaning you pay for traffic, like, you will advertise, like, were you a customer of so and so on this day? Check here, and then some is just organic SEO, like, what do they search for to find you?
I it's still unclear how people are hitting the website. I'm not sure.
You gotta look at your analytics because 'cause it'll tell you.
I need to hire someone to do that because, my
No, man, you
time
gotta do it.
if I do it, then I don't sleep. No, but I agree. I do need to spend more time doing that. The issue is traffic compared to money that I've spent, and optimizing, I don't see the need
Yeah, I see.
for it at
You
this
got
point.
you have an
There's
abundance of riches right now.
Correct.
Well, thank you so much, Corey. SueThem.com. I'm checking it out. I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks.